Welcome in guys to your AEW Dynamite review for the 13th for the 1st, 2021. And I thought AEW Dynamite this week I think it was a pretty decent show. I thought it was a decent show to watch, and yeah, I just thought it was a really easy show to get through. We started off AEW with Eddie Kingston versus Park. This was Park's first match back in like 8 months. This was a good opening match here. Park goes over with the win. Maybe this is the end of the feud now. And that was that. After the match, you had Lance Archer come out, so maybe we're gonna have Lance Archer versus we're gonna have Park and Eddie Kingston with their factions together. But I thought it was a good match and a good way to open up Dynamite. Then we have Britt Baker has a talk show, the Dennis Britt Baker, and in my opinion, AEW, when are you going to put a title on Britt Baker? She's one of the biggest stars and the brightest stars you have in AEW, one of your best in the women's division, and at some point in 2021, you've got to give her the women's title because she's the most over women's wrestler you have, and you really don't have that many women that are actually over because you really do mistreat your women. That you kind of have like your women, like the women's division used to be in the WWE. Remember when they had that 5-minute divas thing, and these Japanese wrestlers with female wrestlers are not getting over. I'm not being a racist or stereotypical. Like, they're not getting over. They're not connecting with the US audience. They need more TV. They need more experience on TV. And I think giving it to somebody, Britt Baker, who's ready for television, who's ready to be a AEW Women's Champion, that is the perfect woman you should be building a women's division around. Maybe an Nyla Rose as well. So maybe you can bring Tessa Blanchard in and have all this thing. But your women's division should be a lot better. But I did like this whole thing. And you had Jade Cargill, who's another girl that I'm a fan of as well, who absolutely fucking bossed Cody Rhodes and told him to, took him to task and said that she doesn't care about Brandy and her unborn child and shit like that. Getting some heel heat. I thought it's really good, and anytime that someone puts down Cody Rhodes, I love it because obviously what the thing he said about the whole Vince has put down talent when. No, so I'm not going to go into that, but yeah. Then we had Chuck Taylor versus Rusev. Well, not Rusev, Miro. And for everybody saying, oh, Miro's getting under your life. Miro's got ruined in WWE, in AEW. Miro is coming in a pandemic year. He's finally off the shackles and the micromanagement of Vince McMahon. He's coming into a different environment like a Tony Khan and the Young Bucks, and he's finding his fate in AEW. So for everybody who's saying he's getting buried here, and people are like, oh, he's just a mid-carder, he's finding his feet in AEW. Like, not everybody is going to be elevated to the top. Look, that was one of the big reasons why TNA fucking was terrible at some points, because they would rush an ex-WWE guy to the top without building him up, without recognizing him, without establishing with the TNA audience. And now with Miro, you're bringing him in, you're slowly progressing him into storylines, and he's getting himself in there. He's becoming a monster heel, it looks like. And you have here, he took out Chuck, what the hell, Trent Beretta. He took him out a few weeks ago, and then this match tonight, or a couple of nights ago, you had Chuck Taylor. If he lost the match, he would have to become the butler of Penelope and Kip Sabian, which he did, and he lost the match. So that means he's going to be butler for a month, and actually gives Chuck Taylor as well a different dynamic. He's not just labeled as a tag team wrestler. Like, at this point, you can have him as a mid-card and maybe challenging for the TNT title, which ultimately gives you more stars to build. You can have him, and for Chuck Taylor, you can actually see what his character is going to be without having a Trent Brett and without having a Orange Cassidy, which he was known for coming into the AEW. So that's a good thing. Dynamite that Rusev wins the match. Then you have a tag match with trio tag match. You have Kenny Omega and they say it's supposed to be the Young Bucks, and then the God Brothers come out, and obviously with his partnership with Impact, obviously they come out and squash Brian Pillman Jr. all these little jobbers and get the win. And basically Don Callis, who I think is doing really great with Kenny Omega, I think he's really getting him over as a heel, and just as they're gelling well, he's basically just bashing Tony Khan, and Tony Khan's like that backstage. But he was good, and it got Kenny over, and it got the Good Brothers over as well. Then we had the Inner Circle talking about the New Year's resolution, what they're gonna do for the new year, which I thought this was a good segment. And obviously they're building up to, eventually it's gonna be MJF versus Chris Jericho. And I said in my last video, my breakout star of the year, in my opinion, that MJF is gonna be a world champion. They're just slowly progressing him, and they didn't want to rush him into world title, because a lot of time in WWE they rush too many people to the main event. And now in AEW they're trying to find their feet. Same what I said with Miro early in the review, that they're trying to find their way. So with MJF, they're eventually going to have him feud Chris Jericho, but it looks like they're going to slowly break away the Inner Circle, especially with Sammy Guevara. He's going to feud with MJF, because he kind of broke up the segment, like, what the fuck, there was like a tension with MJF and Sammy Guevara again. So eventually they're going to break them up. And then you had another thing that I didn't like on the show was, another thing I don't like on the show is that they mentioned WWE again. Basically Matt Hardy was like, oh, he's basically got his character where he's Vince McMahon, and he's like, you give me all the money. He's like, you give me all your money from your third-party ownerships. It was cool when you mentioned it the first time AEW, but stop having a WWE live rent in your head. That was the big thing, the big problem what happened with TNA. They let WWE live rent free in their head for way too long, and eventually they couldn't stop mentioning WWE. Fuck WWE, WWE, Vince McMahon, Paul Levesque, trying to say it in a smart way, saying they're not mentioning WWE, but which they were. And you're falling in the same trap as TNA and AEW. I want you to succeed as a second-rate wrestling company, and give us an alternative from the WWE. But stop mentioning WWE. Stop talking about them in programs. Stop referencing them on the Beginning League YouTube channel. Actually be yourselves and focus on getting AEW better, and that will actually help you elevate. Will actually help you elevate your products and actually make you better in the long run. And you will grow your audience better and bigger, and you're doing it so well so far. But stop mentioning WWE. Stop letting them live rent in your head. Stop talking about ratings every week. Stop comparing AEW Dynamite to NXT, because you're comparing a main show like yours, AEW, to NXT, which is WWE's third brand. Like, that's like SmackDown comparing their ratings to like an AEW Dark rating. Like, why would they be concerned about an AEW Dark rating? They're not. You don't see Vince McMahon tweeting about his ratings on the weekly television, which I wouldn't even if I was Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon, his ratings are terrible right now. But AEW, stop mentioning ratings. It doesn't matter. It matters about ratings, but don't talk about it. And if you want to talk about it, talk about, like, I want to hit 1 million, or maybe 2 million, or maybe 3 million, and then you can talk about ratings. But till then you hit those 2-3 million viewers, stop mentioning ratings, stop letting WWE go for in your head, and please focus on yourselves, because that makes the wrestling product better, that makes your company better, and it makes you actually stand out as an individual company, instead of being a WWE bitterness company that basically not many guys went to WWE, and you're bitter about not going to WWE and this and that. So anyway, that's my rant on that. So at the end of it, and then we had a women's match. I didn't care about the women's match, and then we had the main event, Brian Cage versus Darby Allin. Taz was hyping up his man on the commentary, and Darby Allin retains his title. Sting comes out, so I'm thinking they're gonna have Sting Brian Cage, or maybe I have this weird feeling they're gonna do Sting Brian Cage at some point, because they had a little competition with Taz's faction, and this could be leading maybe to just another Darby Allin Brian Cage match, but I'm thinking they're gonna have Sting versus Brian Cage. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll check you later.